Hey, friends. I am Patrick Boatwright. I think the facts about me is that I am 35. I am a father of one. I've been married for 5 years now, and currently I work as a professional Christian. I'm a pastor, and Jim has asked me to share about this active participation in the family of God. I think the way that I approach this in my personality, I am an ambivert, which means there are times where I definitely drive off of uh, and find fuel off of spending time with people and engaging with others. But I also deeply crave alone time. So I can kind of go back and forth. Let's see, Enneagram wise, it's a very interesting question for me. Kind of identify with a lot of them, but if you like made me pick just one, I would say a one. That resonates a lot as far as like highly principled and kind of pursuit of perfection in a way. Now, when I think about active participation in the family of God, I think what I experience that through is like literally actively participating in the family of God, which means having people in my life. One would be like spiritual friendship. So my best friend, who's the godfather of my children, and my child, and I'm the godfather of one of his children, and we talk almost weekly. And in those times, we just it's so natural now. It doesn't feel like scripted or anything, but we just kind of give a rundown and inventory of our life and where our heart is and what we're like anxious about or what we're scared about, what we're happy for. We pray for one another. We seek counsel from one another. It's been a very rich experience. And then once a year, we get away together. So this past few months ago, back in April, we took a week and we got a cabin somewhere and we just spent intentional time together doing deep inventory on each other's lives and speaking the words of Jesus and life into the places of brokenness and celebrating in places that needed to be celebrated. And it's just been just such a sweet time. I would think outside of that, other ways that I've practiced this. Catherine and I used to lead, my wife Catherine and I used to lead a life group for 5 years. And that was a weekly experience where we opened our home. We cooked every week with like every uh, food allergy possible, but we made a big spread, and then we would just like do life together. And over that time, we went through divorces, we went through children being born, we went through um, like all sorts of situations, the loss of jobs, the gaining of jobs. We like legitly did life together. And even now that we have kind of dispersed and we aren't formally meeting every week, we still are family. And so even right now, as one of our members is just kind of going through some stuff, we talk once a month. We have a scheduled time where we just connect with one another and are able to again speak life into one another. And I'm just able to kind of like walk with that person through what they're going through. And it's been, the scriptures say that a brother is born for adversity. And so that has been so um, helpful, not just in the giving, but also in the receiving, to know that you have people, to know that there's in those times where God feels so distant, that he can express himself in and through flesh and blood. And like, I think when you look at like Genesis 1 and like Adam is in like perfect relationship with God, there's no sin around. And you would think like, man, isn't that the dream that we would just have this sinless world and just God? And yet God tells Adam that it's not good for him to be alone. And so he gives him flesh and blood to complete the picture. Because like what we inhale from God, we exhale to each other. And so that for me has been the beauty of life, is that receiving from God, inhaling the Spirit of God, and exhaling that back out into like my friends and my family and the people that I get to know, and inviting other people into that family because there's so many people. Family is such a loaded word, depending on like the one you were born into. And I think that it's been so beneficial to have and build a space intentionally where people get a new concept of what family can be, to be known, to get to know others, to get to practice the love of God. Um, I think one last like practical thing, which is also like a benefit or fruit, is I've seen in my life from actively participating in the family of God was, I've had a couple of like major life decisions. And it was kind of one of those, I think some of the hardest life decisions is not when you're picking between like this bad thing or this good thing, but when you're like picking between like two things that are both equally good, and you're just kind of like anxious about like, well, there's different ramifications and my life could go left or my life could go right. And it was just like really cool in those times and spaces to have people that know me intently, even in the moment where I couldn't discern and find my own thoughts and who I was, that they could remind me and speak the truth back over me of like who I was and help me walk and kind of order my thoughts and make some of those life decisions. And that was just an awesome thing. One, because I may end up making decisions that I could really stand on, but two, it was incredible to know that like I was known and loved at such a deep level. And three, to then experience how God moves in and through others, and that has made me want to do that for other people. So, yeah, I just kind of practice having open arms, and I would encourage you to do the same.